So what I was going to do is tell y'all a little bit of my testimony. I've told it before. If you haven't heard my testimony, will you raise your hand? Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of people. So I told it before a long time ago when I first got in here, and I kind of just want to go over it some. And then I want to share with y'all what God gave me for y'all after that. So I'm going to start from when I was born. I'll explain the picture that's on the screen to y'all later. I was pretty much born into sin. We all were. But what I mean is I was born to drug-addicted parents. Both of my parents were addicted to drugs. Like really severely addicted to drugs. Like don't have one good memory of my mom addicted to drugs. Anyway, so I was sitting here thinking back about my testimony, my childhood. I tried to reword it to make it faster because if I tell you the whole thing, we'll be here for 2 days. And, you know, I was kind of in awe when I was thinking about everything that's happened. Like, God really did keep me. If you've ever heard people say that God kept me, He really did keep me. I have 6 siblings, and every single one of them is addicted to drugs or struggling in addiction right now. I don't know why He chose to keep me, but I'm thankful that He did. Anyway, so I'll rewind. I don't really remember being a baby, right? None of us do. But let me start from when I was 5 years old. Do you remember when you were 5? Can everybody in here pretty much remember when they were 5? Okay. That's about kind of where I feel like I can go back to. Most of y'all were going to kindergarten, right? Maybe playing ball. I remember my kids were kindergarten. I was taking them to their little ball games, t-ball. Landon had the squintiest eyes. He still does, but walking them to class. When I was 5, I was riding with my mom to get crack cocaine. I remember it like it was yesterday, really. I remember her getting pulled over and then taking me out of the car and somebody having to come get me and then practically dragging her out of the car. This is not just one occasion. This was so many. I can remember when I was 5, us going down the road in the car. I don't know why I was the one that she chose to take with her, but I was. Riding down the road with her and her be smoking it out of like a drinking can. And me wondering like, what is she doing? Like I remember that, like it's clear to me. I know now why I remember. But anyway, the next couple of years would be this way for me. She had men like in and out of her life that were involved in drugs. And sometimes they would come in and I would wonder if they would hurt me because I'd never seen them before. And I would be scared. And one of them did. Anyway, so what about when you were 7? You remember when you were 7?
Definitely.
So when I was 7, I had a birthday party, and everybody was there, and my mom was supposed to be doing better, and she was sent somewhere to get a present that costed so much money that I really wanted. It was a life-size Barbie doll. It was like this tall. I was super excited about it. Anyway, and to pick up a cake and that. And so she was sent with money because she was doing better to pick that up. Well, she never came back. And I remember when she did come back, it was a long time, but when she did come back, I remember everybody yelling and screaming because she didn't do what she was supposed to for me. So life with my mom was hell. And at 8 years old, she died. I'll never forget that day. You know, I was with my stepmom, and they brought us all to this house. And my mom lived there then, and there was a ton of cars lined up all across the road. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, we're just pulling in, and there's cars everywhere. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I really thought it was a party, honestly. Nobody told me anything. So I'll never forget the day that they told me that she was gone. 6 kids come in the room and they tell us. But since that day, I feel like I've held resentment against my mom. You know, I feel like I was holding unforgiveness towards her because the way that I love my kids, I know that why didn't you do that? Why didn't you show me that kind of love? How could you do that to a child? But I'm just telling y'all that I didn't know that I had this resentment towards her or unforgiveness towards her until a couple of weeks ago. Meanwhile, though, my dad's in and out of jail. He comes and goes. He's a struggling addict, too. I love being around him, though. I do have good memories of him. But by the time that I was around him a lot, and he would come to get me, they would very few times that they would let him come get me, but he would sometimes, and only for a little while. He would come and bring a Yoo-hoo and some candy always, and he was so short, but like literally like I'm taller than him, but he was so strong. He would always pick me up on his arm. You ever seen somebody lift a little kid up like that? So I thought he was great, but I could tell when he was high. You are going to think it's funny, but it is now, but it wasn't then. It's kind of not. Anyway, he would literally be with his hands behind his head like this and pretty much be saying, I'm unarmed. Anyway, when I think about it, it's kind of funny, but it's really not.
It's not.
But, so he always thought somebody was after him.
It's so sad.
It is sad, but I just wanted y'all to get the picture. I wasn't laughing then. So, I guess when he said he'll tell you later, but I guess when you're like high on crack or meth, you always think the police is out to get you. So you're like in those blinds, like, are they here? I guess that's what I was told. Anyway, he was still my dad though, and I wanted to be with him. I was really fighting for love, and at a young age, when good nights and I love yous come so natural, I was in the middle of a fight for a family and for love. Anyway, I had to write it down because last time I told it, it took forever and I didn't want it to. But for the most part, during all this that was going on, I was like y'all, church kids. You know that? Like I was going through hell, but I was at church every single time the doors were open. So I know that y'all are going through some stuff. You're not getting that past me. I was literally going to school when I was 8 years old. After my mom died, I lived with my grandparents, right? A lot of people don't know this. But I was going to school at 8 years old being sent to the counselor's office because I smelt terrible. They didn't take the time to tell me. They owned this big, huge business and made a lot of money, but they didn't take the time to tell me, like, you need to bathe or you're going to stink. I'm just saying, like, can you imagine your counselor giving you soap to take home with you? When you live with people that have plenty of money? Yeah. Anyway, so I ended up failing a grade that year. And honestly, I would have probably accepted love from anybody and anywhere. Because I didn't feel it from anywhere. Living with my grandparents was also a living hell. My grandpa was super abusive. He beat the crap out of me, mom, and us all of the time. And he was the associate pastor of a church that we were going to, just so you all know. So things are not always what they seem. Anyway, so I was molested like 3 or 4 times by the time that I was 12. And living with them, I was always physically and mentally abused. When I was in 7th grade, I was sent to alternative school because every morning, let me just give you a picture of it. My grandma got so many pills for pain or sleeping or her nerves or diet or whatever. I don't know what her doctor was on, but he gave her whatever she wanted. So before I would go to school in 7th grade, some of y'all's age, if I had a headache, she would give me a pain pill. I don't know if y'all know what a pain pill is as far as that's what they called it then. Now I can tell you it's a pill that you can sell for about $7. It kind of gets you high. It gives you energy. So after a month or 2 of realizing that I can tell her I got a headache and I can get these pills every morning and take one and I'll feel great at school. I'm like, hey, how are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Let me do my schoolwork. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so what did I do? She didn't care, really. I mean, she really didn't care. She just wanted me out of her hair. So what would I do every morning? I would say, can I have one of the pain pills? I got a bad headache. I'm not going to be able to go to school if I don't get a pain pill. Because I realized that they made me feel good. Like, they really made me feel good. So what did I do? I wanted my friends to feel good too. So as I, being the bright person that I am, put a pain pill in my friend's hand, literally, as I place it in her hand. The principal walks down the hall. He literally watches me put it in her hand. Yeah, he literally grabbed me by my arm. I was so scared. So I got sent to alternative school in 7th grade for passing out pills that I shouldn't have had in the first place. Alternative school was great to me because I didn't feel like I had to fit in. I had this box around me, like I didn't have pressure to fit in. I didn't have to worry about, I was still taking pain pills, but so my work was getting done. But I didn't have to worry about anything because I was, you know what I'm saying? I was isolated. But when I was a teenager, drugs were so easy to access, you don't understand. I had an aunt that lived behind me in a trailer, literally from here to that back wall, who had meth laid out on her table and would literally snort it right in front of me and say, "Do you want some?" I thought she loved me. I didn't do it. Thank God for keeping me. But I thought she loved me. That's what I thought love was, for real. Like, you want to do this? It's going to make you feel good. I promise it. I wouldn't give you nothing that would hurt you. I almost did it. For real, I almost tried it. But what I'm saying is drugs were all around me. They were easy to access. You can't tell me that you don't have a choice when your friends ask you to do something. You cannot tell me that. My life could have literally been destroyed. I tried to commit suicide when I was 15 years old. I literally took a bottle of pills that was this big, all the way full. I had to go get my stomach pumped. Charcoal, the stuff coming out of my mouth everywhere. It was awful. I tried cutting my wrists. I still have the scars. I was looking for love everywhere. Anywhere that I could find it. Anything that would make me feel better. Anyway, so the aunt that lived behind me, right, that offered me meth every day, her boyfriend, at the time they were going to get married, literally tried to molest me, rape me. And I barely got away from him. I'm just telling you. So let's go back to I would search for love from everywhere. Hope I have time. Yeah, we got time. So when I was 15 years old, Amy and Donnie, the pastors of this church, wanted me to come live with them. And I did, because my little sister lived with them. And she came back to my grandma's house, which was a hellhole, because my grandpa woke us up every night, beating doors down, beating my grandma, all that, going back to church Sunday to preach. Right? So it was awful. And she would come home and she would say, "It's like a family over there. They took me to the movies. They bought me new clothes." I'm like, for real? That's what I want. So what did I do? I went to live with Amy and Donnie. Some of y'all are new, but they're the pastors of this church, also my cousins. Because my sister made it sound so awesome. So I went and lived with them. They were like, first thing they said was this: "You cannot have a boyfriend for a whole year." I'm like, yeah, I'm out. That ain't gonna work. No, I'm kidding. I stayed for like a month, maybe like 6 weeks. I still had a boyfriend. They just didn't know it. They now know it. But what I'm saying is this: they showed me love and I did not know how to accept it. Because for 15 years of my life, I didn't have any. I literally pushed them away. I didn't know how to accept their love. I mean, they asked me when I moved out, "What did we do wrong?" Like, you did nothing wrong. You did everything right. I didn't know how to accept what was right. Because when you're going in one direction for so long, you don't know how to accept something that you've never seen before. Some of y'all know where I'm coming from. But, so I started talking to somebody behind their back. What happened? My grandma, when I visited her, she said, "If you live with me, you'll get to see him. He'll get to come here. He could spend the night with your brother." Oh, for real? Okay, I'm coming back. So I came back because I thought that this guy really, really loved me. And then what did I do? Could have destroyed my life forever, but it saved my life. I said, "You know what? I don't want to live here anymore. This is hell. Like, I'm being offered drugs every day. I've been molested. Like, my grandma's getting beat every night. We're going to church. I don't even know what you're supposed to be doing to live right. Like, I can't do this anymore. Can we have a baby?" Because these people are so religious that if I get pregnant at 15 years old, they will kick me out. They're not living right. They're insane, right? They're tearing the house down and then going to church on Sunday. But I knew that if I got pregnant, I could leave. And like I said, I was living in hell, so I wanted to leave. So I made a plan to get pregnant at 15 years old. And that's what I did. Why? Because I wanted to have somebody who would love me forever. That was my plan. I wanted to have somebody who would love me forever and that I could love forever. And I wanted to try this thing that everybody else was messing up on my own. I wanted to be that for somebody who nobody ever was for me. Was it the right thing to do? Absolutely not. But God can take what the enemy meant to destroy me and turn it around for my good. And he did that. Because had I not had my son, I'm pretty sure that I'd be addicted to meth or something else. Who knows? I could be dead. Not telling you I'm going to get pregnant. I'm just telling you what happened to me. Let me keep going. How much time do we got? All right. So, I resented my mom. I hated her. But I always longed for someone who would love me. So I left, right? Because what I wanted to happen, happened. As soon as I told them I was pregnant, they kicked me out. And I left. And I went far away. And I stayed gone for a very long time. And I didn't come back. Except for a few times here and there, but I left again. The relationship I'm in, I'm going to try to go through this part really fast, was very abusive. I was there for 12 years. But God. I remember nights being in my car with my little kids. Paul and Landon were so little, crying and begging God with the doors locked. I remember Paula coming to the car, tiny little girl, so many times. What's wrong? Anyway, begging God, would you please, 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 please make a way for me to get out of this situation that I again got myself into. Because what looked like it was going to save my life, the person who looked like they would love me forever betrayed me. Just like everybody else did. You know why? Because I made the plan. It was my plan. It wasn't his plan. So I didn't come back for a very long time. God made a way for us. Sorry. So let's fast forward a little bit. So here I am, instead of following the will of God again, I'm looking for love again. Again. 30 years old, I'm still looking for love. That I still never had. That I thought I found. That's what we're doing. That's what y'all are doing. You might not admit it, but that's what you're doing. You can have a great family at home, and you can still be looking to fill that void. Because we're all born with a void. I don't know if y'all do that or not. And I don't know if y'all are taking it serious or not, but the devil wants to take you out. That's not on here. The devil wants to take you out. Do you know that? I hope y'all know that. You're not just sliding by in cruise control, because you want me to tell you what? I thought I was about 4 weeks ago. No, maybe 8 weeks ago. I thought I was just sliding by in cruise control, and guess what? Boom. He wanted to take me out, and he almost did. Every promise that God told me when I was way up here, I felt like everything he said to me that he would do and that I was going to do and everything else, I literally almost threw it all away. I'm telling you, the enemy's here to destroy you. So don't get it twisted. Let me read this to you. It's Jeremiah 1:9 says, the heart is deceitful above all things, and it is desperately sick. Who can understand it? That is crazy. The heart is deceitful above all things. Do you know what that means? You can't even trust your own heart. You cannot trust your own feelings. And it says nobody can understand it. You cannot understand the way that you feel. I promise you can't. Not at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. You don't understand the way you feel. Because we look to everything to fulfill us. But only God can do that. So, fast forward, I was up here, right? Everything was going good. Because you see, God is always running after us. He's always trying to get to us. Everything was going good. And God was running after me. And I heard God told me to stay right in the middle of the battle. And I didn't listen. I skipped a lot of pages because we're running out of time and I got to get somewhere. Do you hear me? I did not listen. God said one word to me in the middle of the worst battle of my life, it felt like. And I did not listen to what he said to me. He told me to stay. And I ran. Have you ever been up here to the altar every week because you got a problem that you really don't want to have? Paul said, I find myself doing the things that I don't want to do. Not doing the things that I want to do. Have you ever been here every single week crying about a problem you don't want to have just to find yourself going home and having the same problem? We cannot understand our heart. It is desperately sick. The Bible says that. So he tells me to stay a lot. That's what he does. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm in this room. Because I was sitting on the back row one day and I heard the voice of God. I have no desire to be in here with y'all. I'm very sorry, I really didn't. I love y'all so much to death, but I really didn't. I was really happy up there with Donnie. I'm just being real with y'all because I would want you to be real with me. But I was sitting on the back row and I promise you that I heard the voice of God say, stay. That time I listened. So that's why I'm in here with y'all. I just didn't know if y'all knew that. Okay. Is the picture still there? All right. We're almost getting somewhere. We're running out of time. All right, I'm going to try to go fast. Let me find this verse. Are y'all okay? All right, listen. Jeremiah 17, 7-8. The person who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence indeed is the Lord, is blessed. He will be like a tree planted by water. It sends its roots out toward a stream, and it doesn't fear when heat comes. Its foliage remains green. It will not worry in a year of drought or cease to produce fruit. I'm going to explain that to y'all in just a second. Then he gave me Psalms 1:3, NLT version. It says, they are like trees planted along the riverbank, bearing fruit each season. Their leaves never wither. They prosper in all that they do. That's crazy. That is insane. So what he's saying is this, though. Our relationship with him should look like a tree. You're like, that's so stupid. But I'm about to explain it. What is the biggest tree that you can think of?
That tree in our yard. That tree in Mama.
That's right. An oak tree. That's the biggest tree that you can think of. That's exactly the answer I was looking for. Okay, so an oak tree is huge, though, right? You can walk around an oak tree. I mean, like, picture an oak tree, like it's huge. It's like this big. You can walk around it. You can stand up under it. If it pours rain, have you ever went and stood up under a tree? You can stand up under it. You can get shade from the tree. You can get shelter from the rain. So David wrote this, though. What I just read, David wrote. And he compared it to a tree that is planted by rivers of living water. So imagine you being a tree just for a second. I know that sounds funny. Imagine it anyway. Close your eyes, imagine it. Because listen, I know that we're weak right now, and I know that we've been cut down, we've been chopped on, all the things I just told y'all about myself. But right now, I just want you to see your best self. Your best self is a tree. I promise you. Hold on. Okay? So see yourself as a tree, right? See yourself free from depression, free from anxiety, free from you. I need to be free from myself sometimes. Free from all the people that hurt us throughout our whole life. Free from unforgiveness. Right? God was showing me something. When I felt like I was under and everything was over with, He was showing me that when I felt like I was under, that it was not over. I'm telling you, this is crazy. Say this. Under does not mean over.
Under does not mean over.
One more time.
Wait, under does not mean over.
I'm telling y'all, somebody's about to get their life back tonight. I promise you. Hold on. I'm getting somewhere. Okay? So listen. The tree's you, right? The tree planted on the riverbanks. I'm explaining the scripture to you. If you're planted by the river, what happens? You don't have to depend on rain. If a tree needs water, right?
Right.
If you're planted by the river, you don't have to depend on the rain. Y'all don't get it. It's planted so close to the water that no matter if it rains or not, are y'all following me?
So
Yes.
water will get on the tree.
Right.
When we're close to God, we don't have to depend on what's going on around us or what happens to us.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know that's what it meant.
Bearing fruit in each season. Know why he says this. No tree bears fruit in every season. There's a season for an apple tree. There's a season for a banana tree. I don't know a lot about stuff like that. But there's a season for every tree that bears a fruit. And no tree, really, look it up. No tree bears fruit in every season. But this says that you can. Summer, fruit. Winter, fruit. Fall, fruit. Spring, fruit. You know what bearing fruit is? People can see the evidence of God's goodness all around you. When you're bearing fruit at school, people are like, dude, she's definitely a Christian. Where does he go to church at? I want to go to church where you go. What's going on inside of you? Something's different about you. That's bearing fruit. You can bear fruit when they leave you. You can bear fruit when somebody dies. You can bear fruit when you're going through a hard time. You can bear fruit when you don't make the team. So he was telling me, I wanted your relationship, Crystal, to be like a tree that was planted by me, that was bearing fruit no matter what would have happened. And I didn't. I really didn't. And it says leaves that never wither. So you know in the fall how there's the beautiful leaves everywhere and they're just flowing everywhere. They're on the trees and everything. After fall, the leaves fall off and they look retarded. They look, you know what I mean? They look like crumpled up, whatever else. But you know what I'm saying? I studied why that happens. Because for a season, the tree has to go into for storing its nutrients to be able to survive winter. So it stops supplying the nutrients on the outside of the tree. You get it? But God's saying because you're planted by those living waters over here, near him, you can get everything that you need and you don't have to save anything. You don't have to hold anything back because you are good at that. He's not going to run out of ideas. You understand? You will keep leaves in every season if you stay connected to the source, to the living waters.
That's good.
Yeah, Miss Kim. Listen, the end of it is the best thing. It says this type of person will prosper in all that they do. Can you imagine everything that you think about would work? That blows my mind. Can you imagine? It would be like God co-signing every idea that you have. That's insane. Prosper in all that you do. Who don't want that? I definitely want that. I was just thinking, there's a thing that I want to do. I want to go give books to the whole town. Sounds crazy, don't it? That tell about Jesus. But I thought about it and I was like, well, I really don't have the money to do that. Well, Donnie would probably blah, 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 blah. But I'm planted by the living water. So I can prosper in everything that I do. He can make that happen. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all making me sweat and y'all ain't getting it. Y'all gonna have to, let me know y'all getting it. All right. So the problem was, though, that I was having was that I wasn't planted where I could grow roots. You ever seen those trees that come out of the ground? Or have you ever seen a big tree come out of the ground anyway? The roots are insane on the trees. But if the roots get messed up, the tree falls over. How can those roots that are on the bottom of that tree hold that 1,000-foot tree up? That's insane to me. Anyway, so, we have excuses because we're good at excuses, right? I'm going to have to talk fast. Mine would be, I was abused. Landon's might be, my dad was a drunk. I'm just using him because I know I can. He's my kid. So we put limits on it, right? God is here to break the limits off. I promise you, he don't want you to have limits. Well, I want to do that, but I really want to do this, but, you know why I'm like that? Because he don't want that for you. He's not a limited God. All right. So look at the picture on the screen. Because we all want to be like the tree I just told you about, right? Everybody agree?
Yes.
I mean, it's in the Bible. You can do that. Let me tell you this. Trees are not planted. Seeds are planted. Y'all going to get it in a minute. So what we discount because it's small, the seed is so small, right? You'd rather have the rose than the seed. God is counting on it to become tall. I came up with that last week. Anyway. But listen, will you stay in the place where you feel like you're buried long enough for him to grow the roots? Will you stay there? I got to tell you something. Let me get my picture, because I actually don't know where my picture is. All right, listen. Do you see the picture? You see the seed in the first picture? Okay? It's dark. Imagine a little cup with soil in it. It's black, right? It's dark. It was dark when I was being planted. And it was dark when I could have prospered too. Both times are dark. The seed that's in the soil is dark. Where I was at was dark. But the enemy didn't want me to see that. He didn't want me to see that God was really trying to grow me. Do you see what God does? This is a whole other turn I just made. But look at the first and the second picture. It looks like he's doing nothing, don't it? That's not something you can see. You can't even see anything on the outside of those first three pictures, right? So it looks like to the people around you that God is doing nothing. But he really is. I was thinking of it this way. Like if you say, one of your friends say, oh, you're trying to save yourself for marriage. Oh, okay, you're trying to be pure. You're trying to not have sex until you're married. I hope there ain't no 2-year-olds in here. You're trying to not have sex before you're married. Okay, well, you ain't even that cute anyway.
Oh, that's terrible.
I'm just saying, that's maybe what you might get. I'm just telling you because I know how cruel teenagers are. But let me tell you what God might be trying to do. What if on the other side of you staying pure, I threw y'all off, y'all stop talking. On the other side of you staying pure, what if God has somebody doing the exact same thing?
Amen.
And that's the person for you. What if you mess it all up? Don't you want to be with somebody that's been pure, that everybody else hadn't had? What if you messed that up? When God was trying to create the whole time something that could have joined together that would have started off right in the first place. I'm just saying. Because it looks like he's not doing nothing on the outside. Right? It really does. You can't always see what he's doing on the outside. But look how, y'all need to stop talking, that's disrespectful. But look how much work God put in by that fourth picture. Do you see it? He does so much behind the scenes before anybody can see it on the outside. And I feel like I was at the picture before the last. When I felt like I was buried, but I was really being planted. For real, if I would have held out a little longer, and I did, but I almost didn't. I'm just telling you. I almost went the whole other way. I almost did a whole U-turn. Anyway, so those big trees, they fall if their roots are not right, right? He's got you in the situation that you're in because he's building you. He's trying to build you. I thought that he was trying to take me out, but he was really building something deep inside of me. He was trying to grow who I was. Because I felt like I was doing everything right, and everything wrong happened to me. I didn't feel like I deserved it. What I was going through in my house and in my marriage, I did not feel like I deserved it. So I got to a place where I was like, what am I doing this for? Like, why am I doing this? If everything is happening. Have you ever been in that place? Nobody? Wonder why you're doing the right thing, but everything wrong's happening? We got a few minutes. So people discount the outside, though, because they can't see what's going on up under. Being planted is dark, it's lonely, and it's a hard season. Many times I asked, why isn't this working, God? I obeyed you. Like I just said, I helped people. I was faithful. Why would this be happening to me? Like I told you earlier, we go to the altar every single week and repent. And the same knucklehead comes into our life with a different name and we fall for it. I'm stepping on somebody's toes. I already know it. I'm trying not to look at y'all. I don't think I'm pointing at one of y'all. But for real, I'm for real. You fall for it every single time. It's crazy. I already know because I was there. If anybody would have told me I looked good on that day, I would have been, okay, for real. I'm just saying, it took me so many years to overcome that it would blow your mind. Do not fall for that. Do you hear me? You have a God of the whole universe who knows how many stars are in the sky, who knows, like literally, put your hair in your hand. He knows how many hairs you have on your head. He knows how many Landon got cut off of his head. I'm just saying. No, listen. He knows how many hairs are on your head, though. He already calls you beautiful. Paula, you can come. He already calls you beautiful. He already calls you worthy. He already calls you his. All of that. You understand? Do not fall for it. Okay. So, but we're here at the altar, right? And we don't understand why our problems are not going away. Why can I not kick this addiction to porn? Oh, that was... Y'all want me to say it again? Why can I not kick my addiction to porn? Why are we still doing the things that we ask God to take from us? Or do we really